pieces of candy. I got a chocolate bar. I got a quarter. I got a rock.
Poor Charlie Brown. Good grief. Charlie Brown, Snoopy, and the gang turning 75 today. Wow. On this day in 1950, Charles Schulz's Peanuts comic strip debuted for the very first time in print. It first appeared in just 7 newspapers, but quickly grew, of course, in popularity. The Peanuts characters remain very popular in Schulz's hometown, St. Paul, and you can see that with all the bronze statues at Landmark Plaza. Schulz was born in Minneapolis in 1922, but he grew up in St. Paul. He passed away in 2000 at the age of 77. Also, to mark the 75th anniversary, record stores across the country will be hosting listening parties featuring the music of Vince Guaraldi. Vince is best known for composing the music for the animated TV specials featuring the Peanuts gang. The listening parties will be happening from October 17th through the 19th. Electric Fetus in Minneapolis will host a party October 18th at 11 a.m. Other record stores in Minnesota hosting events in Buffalo, Burnsville, Golden Valley, Mankato, and Northfield. And of course, we all remember Camp Snoopy at MO. Some of us still call it that. That will do it for us on this Thursday. Hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll be back with Mr. Marla for you for the Fox 9 Morning News and back here at 11 for our Friday. Might be called the happy hour tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. Fox 9, good day, all day, up next.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for being with us right now. It is noon, the noon hour here on a Thursday, and it's another beautiful day out there. It's just been this stretch of really incredible warm weather. We're looking at the possibility of breaking some heat records this weekend, so we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. A lot going on, though. Twin Cities Marathon is something we need to talk about. We're going to have the race director here in just a couple of minutes. You know, what's happening? When are they going to make certain calls? Is it going to be too much heat? Sorry, this is happening right now, and it's gonna be driving everybody nuts if I don't move it over. So I knew that might happen with this. I think that's better. Okay, I won't move. All right, so we're going to talk about the weather, obviously, and then we have a couple of just really, really rich conversations that I'm looking so forward today, and I hope you'll stay with us here for the full 2 hours. We're going to talk about what looks like is happening on the religious landscape in the United States. We're, of course, on one end of things, we're seeing more targeted attacks on worshipers. At the same time, though, there's research that's showing that the number of young adults turning to a religion is actually on the rise in a fairly significant way in the last few years. So we're going to go through some of that data and talk with renowned biblical scholar Jeff Cavins coming up here very shortly. And a conversation in our next hour. 1 o'clock, please watch, or watch it later when we clip it. But this is going to be a conversation with the only journalist who was embedded with the American Indian movement in 1973. That was during the Wounded Knee occupation, so not Wounded Knee, but the Wounded Knee occupation in '73. Kevin McNiernan was a student at the University of St. Thomas at the time, rookie reporter for NPR. He was sent there, he went, he became embedded, was smuggled in behind these enemy lines. He would go on to win a Pulitzer, become a Pulitzer Prize nominee, win countless awards for his work, a documentary filmmaker to boot, just has incredible stories, and we're going to be chatting with him here next hour. Really looking forward to that as well. We're going to take you to the North Shore, too. How about that? Just, we'll breathe a little bit and see where the colors are changing. They're changing pretty quickly. Chuck Olson from Wild North TV is there, and he's super excited to join us live and show us what's going on. He's in Lutsen right now, so we'll check in with him. Jim Rich is exploring the English countryside, I think is the best way to put it. The Vikings are there getting ready for Game 2 of their international tour. And speaking of touring, Ireland and the UK, also today, the president of the local Vikings fan club there is biking. Do you remember this guy? Biking from Dublin to London, ferry in between, to raise money for mental health resources. So he's going to be joining us live from the ride coming up in a little bit as well. So a lot going on today, and we're really glad that you're here with us, and hopefully you can you can park yourself for a little while. Also, I'm going to go over that Medicare stuff again, you guys, because yesterday was it was almost overwhelming how many people had questions, and we realized that, boy, this is a big deal, and we need to keep talking about it. And so I'm going to try to go through some of the details again, and we might just keep doing it every day until we get to the point where you can't make changes anymore, because this is affecting a lot of people. All right, let's look through some of our headlines here. One of the live events that we're watching this hour is a rally. So this is in downtown Minneapolis right now. Live look at this event organized by a group called We Make Minnesota. Students, legislators, some union members are all speaking about the effect that federal decisions could have on younger Minnesotans. And Amber, I don't think are we gonna listen in here, or are we gonna? No, okay, we're not going to, because we have a couple other things we need to get to. But just know this is going on. We'll dip back in here in just a little bit. Amber's going to watch it, and throughout the show, we'll bring that to you. But that is something we're covering for today, and we'll have much more on later tonight. Okay, speaking of that, day 2 of this government shutdown. Here's the thing today, though. No more votes today. Yesterday, there was voting. Today, Congress is taking a break for the Jewish holiday, Yom Kippur. So senators back again tomorrow to vote on this GOP measure to extend the federal funding for 7 weeks. All of this, really, this is centered around health care, right? Health care demands. So Democrats want the health care subsidies extended right now, for Republicans to reverse Medicaid cuts that were enacted over the summer, and for the White House to promise not to rescind any congressional spending in that space. Republicans, though, say there's still time to negotiate on this health care this year. They want more time. That's why they passed this continuing resolution, to buy some more weeks. They say that provides at least a stopgap funding in the meantime until they can figure things out. Also, Republicans say that Democrats want to provide free health care to immigrants who are in the U.S. illegally. And within the last couple of hours, we've heard from local leaders on both sides of that issue, including Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and on the other side of the aisle, Minnesota Republican Congressman Tom Emmer, also the House Whip in Congress, holds a very influential role there in the House. Here's a part of what each of them had to say.
Our men and women in uniform, veterans, air traffic controllers, farmers and ranchers, federal workers and their families, Americans who rely on telehealth and home care services. These are just a few of the victims of the Chuck Schumer Democrat shutdown. All because Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries care more about appeasing the radical members of their party than working in good faith to keep the government open. They are trying valiantly to claim that they are doing it to fight for Americans' health care. But their $1.5 trillion wish list, which slashes funding for rural health care, as you've heard from both the Speaker and the Majority Leader, while giving taxpayer-funded health care to illegal aliens, tells a much different story. The American people see their political charade for what it is. The good news is Democrats still have time to do the right and reasonable thing. Because Republicans have done our job, there is a clean, nonpartisan, continuing resolution ready in the Senate to send to President Trump's desk right now. The question is, how long? How long will Democrats hold the American people hostage to play their political games? I hope they come to their senses soon. Until then, we're going to force them to go on the record about their self-inflicted shutdown every single day, and the consequences will be theirs to own, and only theirs.
And I see today again the misinformation. Well, it's not misinformation. It was a lie that the Speaker of the House is saying this is because of health care for illegal immigrants. They have one playbook, and it's to try and blame rather than govern. The fact of the matter is Democrats are asking not to cut Medicaid, not to cut these services, especially to rural hospitals, and not to give tax cuts to millionaires at a time when we have to have a budget. We saw that job numbers did not only not grow last month, they shrunk for the first time in over 3 years. So we're in a precarious situation. imagine our allies across the world, especially in Europe, are deeply concerned about how we're dealing with this. We're seeing the Vice President of the United States sending out memes that are racist against the leadership in the House and Senate at a time when we should be trying to find solutions. So we need to get them back to the table. We need to understand that the state of Minnesota cannot make up the difference on this, nor should the state of Minnesota have to. We pay more in than we get back. These are Minnesota tax dollars that are now not going anywhere. And I'll tell you, some of the early hits will be in the Farm Service offices, the FSA offices, which are already under threat because this is the time that they get used the most during harvest. We're seeing, of course, crisis in farm country because we're not having soybean purchases made. And I'm reminding people that these purchases that China is making elsewhere outside the United States are 10-year contracts, and it's going to be very, very difficult for us to get back into the market. So this is not a time for the federal government to be trying to distract from whatever things need to be done. Donald Trump has many times before he was president said if there's ever a government shutdown, there's one person to blame. It's the president. He was wrong about that. It's also the Speaker of the House. It's also those members of Congress from Minnesota who continue to not get their work done.
Okay, so again, today, no votes in Congress as they are recognizing the Jewish holiday of Yom Kippur, and so we'll pick this back up tomorrow. Just in here to our newsroom a short time ago, we have a ruling now on a case. So the court has ruled that State Senator Omar Fateh, his campaign for Minneapolis mayor, did in fact break the law. That's according to this ruling. So at issue here is the campaign attaching a Minnesota DFL endorsement to a logo on their website and then some materials, things like yard signs, even after the party revoked that endorsement. If you remember this earlier this summer, it was a very sort of messy situation where there was the DFL party got together for the endorsement. And they originally did endorse State Senator Fateh for mayor in July. They ended up rescinding that a month later over concerns about that day and that voting process. Now, the Fateh campaign has been fined $500, but that ruling just coming in here just a short time ago. And then just an update here on a story we continue to follow in the UK. This is that developing story from Manchester. So we're talking about the area in the northern United Kingdom. Police now calling that attack on a synagogue this morning a terror attack. What we know, the attacker drove a car into a crowd of people outside the synagogue, got out, and then began stabbing people. Two victims died. 4 others are in the hospital right now. And again, we just mentioned it, the synagogue, a busy place today because of Yom Kippur, the holiest day on the Jewish calendar. The attacker, we're told, was stopped from entering the synagogue by some security staff and worshipers, and then the attacker was shot dead within about 7 minutes of that first call to police. They believe that they know the identity of the attacker, and 2 other people have been arrested as well. So we will continue to monitor that situation as well in the UK. All right, let's talk about the Twin Cities Marathon, because I know a lot of you probably have plans to be maybe outside and doing some things this weekend. There are probably folks who are doing their training runs for the marathon. So a lot of people watching the weather, and you know that we could break records with the heat. So race directors keeping a close eye on these conditions. We wanted to just have somebody pop on today with us and check in, because I think a lot of people are very concerned / interested. So race director Ed Wetham is here to join us now. Thanks for joining us, Ed. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. Okay,
so yellow conditions, we're told right now, is what you're expecting at the start of the weekend. Can you just, what does that mean, that yellow indication?
Yeah, well, I think your headline there says it right. It's less than ideal conditions to run a marathon, to run endurance events. We use this color-coded flag system, and green flag is the ideal conditions, and then yellow is kind of that level above that. And then it kind of scales up to a red, which is extreme caution. Yeah, like you have on the in black. So, we say it's less than ideal conditions, but it's conditions that we are well equipped to run in, to participate in. We have a medical team that is top of the industry, and we'll be able to protect and service all runners.
I know that you hate being asked questions like this, but how comfortable are you that you'll stay in that yellow categories?
I'm very comfortable that we'll stay in that yellow to red range.
Okay.
You know, every forecast, you know, that I've been given from National Weather Service to Hennepin County weather has us in that yellow to red range. So I feel very comfortable and very confident that we're in that yellow to red range.
Okay, you have run marathons yourself, and I'm just curious if you could tell us what does that feel like when you're at about that temperature? Not the humidity we had a couple of years ago, but what does that feel like?
It just, you know, again, it's not ideal, so you have to take some precautions. You have to listen to your body. I think any runner knows that, you know, just listen to your body. Your body will tell the story of your day. So if you're a little off, slow down, you know, drink more water. And that's really what we've been telling people is listen to your body, consume fluids post-race, during the race, and wear lighter clothing. But you know, the way it feels is probably different for everyone. I know, just listen to your body and enjoy the experience. Don't necessarily shoot for personal records on a day like Sunday.
For sure. You guys had to make the really, really difficult decision a couple of years ago to cancel the race. I'm curious what you guys learned coming out of that. You know, it was such a unique circumstance.
Yeah, you know, what did we learn? You know, I think we knew a lot going into it, so it's not like we learned anything really new. We just sort of decided, instead of kind of last minute looking at the forecast and planning for hot weather, we'll plan for hot weather from the very beginning. So we planned for hot weather from October of 2024 till now. So, you know, we have a lot of stuff in place medically. We have a lot of stuff in place at the finish line to really account for the hot weather. So whether it's misting fans, extra ice delivery, all of our water on the course is hydrant water, so we never run out of water. The medical team is really ramped up, you know, care, intents, and visibility on the course. And that's just a continual process. But, you know, 2023 really, you know, kind of told the importance of making sure that we're visible and really ramped up for warm weather.
Have you guys thought at all, I'm sure you have, but you know, about changing the race date here? I mean, we're getting into a place where it's warmer later.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're seeing September's be as warm as they've ever been. And, you know, and October's, you know, over the last 5 years have been pretty warm, but it's a continual process. It's happened before 2023, where we're always looking at the date and is it the right date? You know, there's other factors other than weather that play into it. And, you know, there's, you know, the Chicago Marathon is a week after us, which is a big deal in our industry. And then MEA weekend, you know, we have so many volunteers, like 4,000 volunteers that help us, so we can never really be MEA weekend. So there's a lot of factors, and it's something we evaluate each and every year, is like, are we on the right date? And, you know, this year's no different. We'll look at it even under a finer microscope this year.
Okay, and well, final decisions here. What's the timeline for decisions to be made, and what do people need to know?
Yeah, you know, every forecast that I've been given is you know, we're in that yellow to red range, which means we're going, and we're just asking people to listen to their bodies and take precautions. You know, the weather is unpredictable, but you know, every forecast we've been given is we're good to go. And the timeline for decisions are, if the weather changes, I mean, that's where the timeline is, and it's not like we have an exact time or date that we say, you know, this is it. But everything we've been given, we are full go.
All right. Well, thanks for hopping on. And a lot of people watching this, either whether they're running or they're going to be a spectator or a volunteer. How are you doing on volunteers? You still need people?
We could always use more volunteers.
Okay.
You know, we're such a volunteer-run event that if somebody wants to come out and volunteer along the course, in the finish line, at the start line, we could always. 4,000 volunteers is really hard to recruit for.
Oh,
so
for
if
sure.
anybody sitting and wants to come out and volunteer, or quite honestly, come out and cheer.
Yes. We can't.
Summit Avenue is
it's so
probably
important.
one of the most amazing experiences that you'll see in marathon days.
It really is. Just do it. You won't regret it. It is so just amazing to see how much it means to the runners. So.
Yeah, it's a great community event, and you know, come out and support, cheer, volunteer. If you have kids, there's still entries available for the kids races on Saturdays.
Oh, cool.
So.
All right. Thanks, Ed. Appreciate you popping in. Thanks for your time. All right. Take care. Okay, let's take a quick break. We're gonna, let's see, check on do we want to check on the weather here as we go? Yeah, quick weather. We'll do that. Email us. Where is it? No email. There it is, all day at Fox.com. We are going to be talking with Jeff Clavens when we come back, and we're going to be talking about the rise of, what looks like the rise of Christianity, especially among young adults here in the U.S., and some other topics around religion and that landscape right now. So we'll check your weather, take a really quick break, and be right back with some really good conversation. Hope you stay with us.
Well, we keep on keeping on when it comes to our fall that feels like summer, although this look at White Bear Lake shows a couple of trees kind of raising their hands out there and going, I feel like fall. I look like fall anyway. We'll feel like fall. We'll feel like fall more next week as we adjust to temperatures that are in the 60s, but not today. Well, we do that in the morning. In fact, when you walked outside this morning, our morning lows were indicative of an average fall afternoon, and that's where we'll go next week. But in the meantime, we'll head back to the summer. Bright afternoon, sunny, getting hotter. After highs in the low 80s yesterday, we're heading back to the mid 80s this afternoon, and we build on that in the days ahead with ample sunshine and southern flow, 5 to 10 miles per hour today. Could pop a stray attempted spritz north of Minnesota. This is a Canadian little system that just kind of drags along parts of the Arrowhead overnight tonight, something at least. Otherwise, sunshine and highs near 90 tomorrow. Our current record is 90. So back in 1997, so that is under threat. And then we literally turn on the blast furnace. We get gusts to 30 or 40 miles per hour on Saturday. Yeah, morning lows could break some record low minimum temperatures, record warm low minimum temperatures, if you will. A record morning low in terms of its heat building into our Saturday morning of 73 for a high, or a morning low. You see what I'm saying? I'll show you in just a second. Either way, gusty breezes make for the record warmth with that blast furnace style gust on the afternoon. And the 90 would be a new record, though, with the current record being 89 on our Saturday. And then we stay warm with 72 for a morning low on Sunday. That's not great for runners either, as we head to the middle 80s on our Sunday afternoon as we start to cool off a bit, though, and we adjust quite quickly. And yes, a cool down, but it's normal temperatures. I mean, it's pleasant, it's nice, it's great, it's comfortable. Dew points in the 40s and 50s and highs in the 60s. Feels so nice heading into the middle days of next week. Fox 9 All Day Live continues. We are back right after this break.
All right, welcome back to All Day Live. It's 12:22. We're glad that you're with us right now. There are, I think, two topics that people say probably shouldn't bring up in mixed company, right? Politics and religion tend to come to the top of the list. But right now, it does feel like in some circles, that is all people are talking about. So today we wanted to try to take a closer look at the religion piece of this. What does the faith landscape look like right now? Because it seems like it is changing. So joining me is Jeff Cavins, Catholic evangelist, author, biblical scholar, pilgrimage leader as well. Thanks for being with us. Husband, father. Yeah, thanks
good to be with you again.
Thanks for being here. Last time we saw you, you had just returned from a trip. You had taken Jonathan Roumie, who if people aren't familiar, explain who he is and what you guys did.
Yeah, well, Jonathan Roumie plays Jesus on The Chosen, the wildly successful series. And he was getting ready to film the crucifixion scene in Italy. He had never been to Israel before, so he asked if I would take him over there and literally give him like a 1-week pilgrimage in Jerusalem to go over every aspect of the sacrifice of Jesus in Jerusalem. And so we did that, and it felt a little strange that I was giving Jesus a tour of Jerusalem and telling him what's about to happen, but it was very, very fruitful. And then he ended up shooting those scenes in southern Italy later.
Wow. I know a lot of those videos are available on YouTube if you want to go back and watch some of your conversations and your opportunities. And then you also do daily prayer with him that maybe a lot of our viewers are familiar with.
On the Hallow app. On the Hallow app. We do a pilgrimage, we do a prayer and a devotion, reflection every single day.
Wow.
Together. And so he reads the gospel of the day, and then I give about a 10-minute reflection every day.
Wow. Incredible. Yeah. So today we wanted to talk about a couple of different things, and it's such a big, wide-ranging, topic. Where do you start? So I'm going to try to be as specific as possible. But I did want to start though by just kind of recognizing what seems like targeted attacks on, places of worship in the U.S. And then clearly we just talked about an attack on a synagogue in the U.K., deadly attack. And I guess, what are you thinking and how are you looking at this through your eyes as we stand here right now and see what we're seeing?
Well, I think there's a battle of ideologies out there, and I think there's a frustration with life that people have and a lack of direction in their life. And so everything seems to be kind of dumped into social media, and then you have such a difficult time discerning what's true, what's not true, what's substantiated. And now with AI, I think it's even stepped up even more. And so you can really get the public going in a different direction using the internet, and I think that's happening. And I think a lot of people are frustrated, and I think there's a lack of direction in people's lives, and this is where we're at right now, and it can be a dangerous world.
I wanted to talk about some of the statistics that have come out just even fairly recently. So we know, in the last decade or longer, we've slowly seen this decrease in interest in religion across some sectors. But all of a sudden now, in the last few years, according to, I was looking at a study, some research by Barna, which is a widely sourced Christian research group, and they were talking about the number of young people increasingly who are turning now to religion, specifically Christianity. Just to give you some of the data before I have you kind of react to it here. In 2021, 54% of Americans say they have, quote, made a personal commitment to Jesus that is still important in their life today. So 2021, 54% of Americans said yes. Right now, that number is 66%. So in just those, 4 years, a 12% increase in these. Now, breaking it down just a little bit more, because I'm a data nerd, it's being driven by Gen Z, men in particular, who show a 15% increase, and that's between 2019 and 2025. And millennial men show a 19% increase. Let's talk about the men. Why? Why in particular the men?
That's a good question, and I've seen studies like this myself and experienced it even on the daily reflection with Jonathan. These Gen Zer men are listening like never before. I think it's a backlash regarding a cultural narrative about men, especially young men, and there's a cultural narrative. The air they breathe is toxic masculinity. And so it has left a lot of young men with a sense of purposelessness. They don't have really a sense of what does society expect from me, and all the while they're looking for affirmation as a man, and that leads to confusion. And I think that the church offers a counter narrative, a space where men can come together and they can celebrate strength, leadership, moral clarity. And that is giving them that space to be the man that they really think they should be. And I believe that God created them to be. And so they're coming together like never before in real relationships and celebrating being a man, which is, in my view, and I think in the Christian view, that's always better for women. When a man is a leader, when a man has strength, when a man learns to love and he's gentle, kind, and he is controlled by ultimately Jesus. And that is very attractive to these young men, especially in a culture where they're not even sure what to believe anymore. And AI is going to make this even more complicated.
So then where does that leave women? Because I think, you know, you and I have had the conversations about this before, about how, you know, if it did swing too far and the air that men are breathing is toxic masculinity, you know, people believe that. Where does that leave women who are kind of somewhere in the middle, where they say, how do I find, like, I want this, but I don't want it to swing too far over, but yet I also am an independent woman who doesn't need or want to lean on or rely on a man in this, we're talking about sort of this Christianity space, right? This religious space, not just sort of life in general, but with religion.
Life in general is a little bit different. I mean, you're not talking to everybody, but in the church space, there's a complementarity there with men and women, where men can be men and women can be women, and when they come together, it creates, it's like 2 + 2 = 5. You know, it's a greater bond. And I think the reason for that is that marriage, from a Christian perspective, is really the stage on which God reveals his love and his faithfulness. And so in every marriage, what do you see? According to the Christian faith, you see Jesus, the bridegroom, loving the bride. So you have this model there. And so I think that if men can become men and not toxic masculinity, and women can be women, and when they come together, there is a beautiful display of God's love for his people. And there's a lot of room in there for women to do what they want to do and for men to do what they want to do, even in a marriage.
Yeah, and I think it's for just speaking, you know, as a woman, and I'm not trying to interject my own, but I think, you know, from a woman's perspective, it is tricky. You know, that landscape can be really tricky for women because, as in most of the world, things tend to be dominated by men, and so there's always this push and pull. I shouldn't say always, but in many cases, there's this push and pull, right? So finding your place in there, I think, is just fascinating. And like you said, such a spectrum of you know, of the way people feel, even within different religions. As we're talking about men, I guess I just have one follow-up here, which is, you know, we've heard and talked so much about people like Charlie Kirk, who, whether, you know, whatever you think of what he had to say, really you can't deny the way that he was resonating with people, particularly men. So is that kind of where you see some of what you're talking about landing?
I would put him in the category of social media chaplains. You know, you have Charlie Kirk, you have, in a sense, Joe Rogan, you have Jordan Peterson, and their message is directed to young men, but it's not in a way that puts them in opposition of women. It's that you be the man that God created you to be. Now, Charlie was kind of a mix of the faith and politics, and so it's a difficult topic to talk about because people feel differently about Charlie. But clearly, the young people, women included, responded to him once the event happened in Utah. He was killed. But there's a principle there that I think people need to understand. The biggest turning point was Jesus dying and rising from the dead. That was in world history. That was the biggest turning point. So after that, Stephen. In the 2nd century, Tertullian said, he made a great observation. The blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. And when people give their life for something like this, it has an impact on everybody around them. And with young men, it's it's not an aggressive thing, it's more of a sacrificial thing. Men want to build a castle, they want to win a war, and they want that beauty to marry, you know, and that's the way that they are, that's the way that they're wired. And when these young men saw Charlie Kirk, they said, there's something there that's in me. And I want to step up to the plate. We'll see what that is.
Yeah, in just an observation we have to talk about, but I think a lot of people thought of him as a sort of a political, influential, you know, leader in that space.
Yeah.
But the Christianity piece of it seems to have almost
eclipsed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that too,
really
because I didn't know that much about him. Really, I've never met him. But once he was killed on that college campus, it seemed that the Christian aspect rose. It rose.
Yeah, I think a lot of people felt that as well. Is this rise that we're seeing, is it sustainable, do you think? Because it's a pretty quick, I mean, you know, cultures don't really shift this quickly, Jeff.
Things
you know,
come and go.
right?
Yeah, things come and go. People react and then retreat, you know, and that does happen. Other people are asking the same question, will this last? And they are giving a caution to the churches, Protestant, Catholic, non-denominational churches, and they're saying that you need to teach the fullness of Christianity in order for this to be authentic and sustaining. Otherwise, this could move people to more of a political stance, a social stance. And I don't think that that's where we need to go. I'm in favor of let's really point people towards Jesus and teach them, you know, who he is and what's expected of us. And I think society is going to be better off.
It's so hard right now because political identity is everything for some people, and if
it's almost a religion.
It really is. Yeah. So it's just interesting to have these conversations, just to kind of talk things out and understand where people are coming from. I so appreciate your time, and I would love to be able to chat with you again, because I know you have some really exciting projects coming up, and you do these pilgrimages, and so I hope you'll come back and tell us all about your adventures and keep us up to. We're talking about religion a lot more now in society.
Very open.
You know, very openly. So it's an interesting time.
It's always good talking to you too.
I appreciate you spending some time with us, Jeff. Okay. All right. We will take a quick break, and we will be right back with more All Day Live. A lot more to come, more headlines for you right after this. And welcome back to All Day Live. 12:38 is your time. I hope you're having a great day today. Almost the weekend, and hopefully it'll be a good one for you. The weather's going to be really, really beautiful if you like warm, hot weather. Kind of windy though too. All right, he has become, I think, a bit of a familiar face to Vikings fans here in the U.S. The president of the UK and Ireland Minnesota Vikings fan club president, John McDonald, is following the team from Dublin to London. We all here at Fox 9 had a chance to talk with him right before the Dublin game. He wanted though to make that trek from Dublin to London. You want to make the most of it. So he is biking from Croke Park in Dublin to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London for a good cause. So John joins us now from that journey. Thanks for joining us again.
Thank you very much for having me back. Thank you very much for talking to me.
So good to talk to you again. You are calling this the Purple Pedal. It's the Viking Ride for Mind. So I guess where are you in the ride, and tell us how it's going.
Yeah, it's going pretty well at the moment. Fingers crossed. I've had absolutely lovely weather. There's been no rain whatsoever at the moment, touch wood. But yeah, I'm just south of Birmingham at the moment. I stayed in Birmingham, North Birmingham last night, so I've just cycled along all the Birmingham canals, about 25 miles along the Birmingham canals today, and then up through the hills up to where I am now.
How are your legs doing?
They're feeling a little sore, but the moment I get into the hotels, it's straight into a cold shower, I can tell you that.
So today did I hear today's kind of the lighter day for you? Is that right?
Yeah, it was only 43 miles today, so yeah.
Also,
yeah.
Thank you for putting it in miles and not kilometers for us. I really appreciate that. Tell us the backstory of why you wanted to do this and raise money for a good cause as you're traveling between the two cities.
Yeah, well, whilst we've got this little spotlight on our club over this side of the world, we always try to give back. I mean, last year one of our members walked from the old Viking capital up in York all the way down to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to raise money for Young Lives versus Cancer. And I said, this year, if the Vikings do play over here, which I thought was never going to happen. We played here last year. I thought it was never going to happen. I said, right, then I'll cycle between the stadiums, and it turned out it did happen, so I'm making good of my word.
Wow, and specifically, it's mental health resources, and I remember you shared a bit of a backstory of why this is an important cause for you.
Yeah, there's so many different mental health illnesses out there. Everyone knows someone that's suffered with mental health over the years. I mean, if you read my page about it, I came across someone who was I was on my way back from work, and I came across someone who was on a bridge just about to jump onto the motorway, and it really woke me up to how quickly things could change. Those were the last 15 minutes that I was on the phone to the police trying to hold her and stop her jumping and talking to the police at the same time was the longest 15 minutes of my life, and I'll always say that.
Wow, incredible. I'm so glad you're able to do this. And well, before we go, we're going to let people know how they can support you in what you're doing here as well. Amber. Oh, this just in. Amber's telling me that she has a photograph that we can show. Let's see. You want to pop that? What happened here, John?
Yeah, that was yesterday morning. So yeah, it was yesterday morning. I was about 20 minutes into the cycle ride, and I got my first puncture of the trip. So yesterday I got 2 punctures, but it takes a little time. It wasn't unexpected. I was prepared for it.
Good.
But yeah, it was unexpected. But yeah, I was prepared for everything.
Oh,
but
good.
Yeah,
I'm so glad.
Added a little extra fun to the day, shall we say?
Yeah. Do you wear the Vikings jersey when you're pedaling, or when you're cycling?
No, I don't wear the Vikings. It wouldn't work for the cycling, but I wear just t-shirt and shorts.
Which jersey is that, by the way? I can't see because
it's the Harrison Smith jersey, my favorite player.
Nice. Oh, aren't you so glad that we still have him? Whew.
Oh, he's been there as long as I can remember. It's just yeah, he's the veteran of the club, and
Do you
everything Vikings is him.
That's exactly right. He does. He just kind of epitomizes that team and that spirit. So in Dublin, we couldn't help but notice that the number of fans for the Steelers, and I get it, they really invested a lot of time, the Steelers did, in kind of, you know, getting fandom going in Dublin specifically. So, but it was like 70-30. I mean, what do you expect in London? Do you think we can at least even that out a little bit more, if not, you know, eclipse it a bit?
From what I'm hearing down in my friends down in London already, because the Vikings have already started celebrations down there and everything like that. It's looking like it's going to be a heavy Vikings turnout to London. So yeah, but the Steelers hadn't played over here since we last played them in 2013. So it was a big event for them.
Yep, and you get to see Adam Thielen, who was on that 2013 team and played at that time, and now he's back. Who would have known? Who would have thought that he'd be back as well?
Yeah, it's great to see him back. I mean, he was always going to retire a Viking, but it's good to see him actually playing as a Viking before he retires. Yeah.
Well, so today's you're going to kind of, you know, your easy day, and then what have you got planned for the next couple of days before Sunday morning? I guess morning for us, afternoon for you.
Tomorrow I'm doing, I think it's just over 65 miles into Leighton Buzzard, where our fan club charity league, she's putting me up for the night, and then it will be into London the next day.
Nice. Are you so excited?
Yes, I'm so. The biggest struggle is doing it by myself, and it's going to be. I'm so looking forward to seeing a familiar face tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
When tomorrow afternoon, when I get to see our charity league, Jess,
I bet
who's been amazing support.
That'll be awesome.
all the fans, I just want to thank for all the support. I mean, it's not just UK based. All the US fans have had so many wonderful messages from the BWO. All the fans in Italy, France, as far away as Australia, Turkey, all the Vikings fans just giving me such support. It's been keeps me going.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations, John, on what you're doing. I think it's amazing, and we want to let people know how they can help if they want to help support the ride and raising money for these mental health resources.
Yeah. It's just on the screen below. As you can see there, it's justgiving.com/page/the purple pedal, and it just helps out with mental health over here. It's a mental health support company, charity that they do brilliant work, and everyone struggles with mental health, or at least knows someone that really struggles with mental health. So it's something I just wanted to bring attention to whilst I've got this little bit of an opportunity.
Thank you so much for just being such a good sport and joining us at all hours of the day and night over here with the time difference. And we're proud to call you a Viking fan, because you're just doing so much good for your community and of course supporting the purple and gold. So thanks, John, and be safe on the rest of your ride. Have a wonderful time at the game on Sunday.
Thank you very much. Hopefully a Vikings win.
It's going to be a Vikings win. 100% it's going to be. You didn't ride all that way to go see them lose. They're going to win it. All right. Thanks, John. Take care. Okay. Bye. Okay, let's take another break, I believe. Yes. Oh, and then you know what? We're just so international today. We are going right back to the UK, but a different place in the UK. Jim Rich is standing by. Oh, London. Look at London. So pretty. Jim Rich is in London, and we'll talk to him and find out what he's been up to today. His little adventures with the Vikings is coming up next. All right, from the UK to the US, back to the UK we go. Let's check in with our Jim Rich, who yesterday was in the countryside, the beautiful countryside, and now looks like, Jimmy, you're in the big city.
We're in the midst of it here. This is chaos. Look at this traffic. We sat in this for an hour to go 3 blocks. I'm going to get hit by a bus.
Oh, careful. Wait, do you need to move? Do you need to move closer to the buildings and out of the street?
No.
Okay, I'm worried.
The gimbal is out of control. Hang on, you know what I forgot?
What?
I forgot these.
Jimmy, he
Hang
can't
on,
hear me.
I can't hear you yet.
Can't hear me. Okay, let's let Jimmy
Maybe
get those
we can
in.
do weather. How about?
No, just go ahead. Just put them in. We'll wait. We'll wait. So Jim yesterday was in
Don't freak out.
in the countryside. At the,
No, now we're upside down here. Stand by. Yeah.
Is he okay? How long will it take for Jim Rich to put his earpods in? So yesterday he was in the countryside, and I don't know if you had a chance to see it, the video he showed this morning again on the morning show, but it was so beautiful. Oh, he can hear me now? Okay, good. Then I don't have to story tell anymore. Okay. Whew, nobody wanted me to have to.
I enjoyed the Terry. I love the story. It was very good.
It's okay. You had so many great stories. But okay, so set the scene for us again. Are you in a safe place? And show us what's going on.
All right, we are in the heart of London. This is right outside the hotel that the NFL has booked for this Viking game. It's some saint's name. It's like Pancras or something. I'd say it's Saint Pancras is what I kind of say. But this saint had some money. This place is ridiculous. Look at that. It's cool. I could maybe sneak in there. I don't know if they'll let me go live from in there, but
it's
check out the traffic.
Saint Pancras refers to a Christian Roman martyr who was beheaded for his faith around the year 304. Also, Jimmy, is that a phone booth behind you? Can you go in there?
It is. It is.
Can you show it to us?
I looked at it. Unfortunately, vandals have found it. Let's see. Yeah. No, it's locked.
Oh, bummer.
It is just for show here now. Let's see if I can show it to you.
Yeah. Can you go on the other side so we can? Maybe we can see in it, or I don't want to put you in the street, but.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Oh, cool. There we go. Yep, right around the corner. A little bit more.
A little bit more. Working on it.
Okay.
Working on it.
Wow, that's so cool. Look at that.
There it is. But you can't get in it.
No, can't get in. Okay, well, okay.
Thank goodness we have Zoom, or we really wouldn't have been able to get together today.
Oh my goodness. But you're in the city now. Did the team move into the city as well? Is everybody there now?
Well, let's take it. All right, I'm taking it off of this. We're going this route. Okay, we're gonna go this way. Where am I?
I see you.
All right, we'll move this way.
Can you show us
the? Coming back.
Can you show us the cars?
I feel like Jimmy is having some troubles acting like a TikToker.
Jimmy's trying to do a TikTok.
This is way over Jim's head here.
It feels like, Jimmy, I saw you do this for earlier shows, and then something about you being in London now is just got you all scrambled.
Yes. Well, we just got out of the car. We were trying to make your hit, and we were sitting in this traffic. Oh, look at the fire truck is just sitting there. Even they can't move. This is ridiculous. Okay, here, I can try to show you more of this hotel. I mean, look at this thing.
Look how pretty that is.
So
it's way over my skis. That's not my style. Ian Leonard would stay here. That's where he would be staying here.
So, Jimmy, you want to talk about the Vikings? Wow.
Sure, we can.
What are they up to?
They're practicing again today. C.J. Ham was back in practice today. Still no J.J. McCarthy, so his timeline certainly won't be moving up. It'd be very surprising if he starts the week after the bye due to the fact that he hasn't done any practicing yet. So I would say that you won't see J.J. start that first game out of the bye against the Eagles. Still trying to put that offensive line together. It's not looking good. Ryan Kelly wasn't in practice today. Two of the other starters weren't out there. Oh, look at it. It's Alec Lewis of The Athletic.
Oh.
Here, come on, be on Fox 9. Here, come on.
Let's say hi to Alec.
Here, they want to know what's going on with the Vikings.
Hi,
this
Alec.
is live.
I cannot believe we're live. It's great to be here.
Oh, we're freezing up. Alec Lewis, The Athletic. You're freezing up a little, guys. But okay.
You're going to dinner? All right.
Okay, we got you. We got you back.
Right.
Bye, Alec.
Bye.
Bye.
Alec does not want to hang with me tonight.
That's weird.
He's much rather go with his wife to dinner. I don't understand that at all.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's TV's Jim Rich. Why wouldn't you want to hang out with
That's
me?
exactly right. Jim, you're the best. I can't imagine what it took for you to get where you were and sitting in the traffic and then trying to get this connection with us. Thank you for doing this and for being there for us.
I don't
We
even
really
know why
appreciate
I'm
it.
not in the picture. There, does that work?
As much as
what happened?
we would love to stay on this really shaky, picture for the next hour or so.
This is bad.
Yeah, it's okay, Jim. It's all right. We really appreciate you trying. You're the best.
We did well in the cab yesterday, but not today.
Yeah, maybe go back to the cab with Matthew tomorrow.
Yes.
All right, we'll let you go. Have a great night. Stay safe.
All right, we'll see you.
We'll see you later. Bye. Oh no, you're good, Jim. You're good. Thanks. Bye. Oh, I was getting a little dizzy there. I'm not going to lie. I hope people at home were okay. He's trying his best, man. I just appreciate that guy so much. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to round out this hour and then come right back in about 2 minutes with an interview I'm so looking forward to. Just a world-renowned journalist who was the only reporter, he's a rookie reporter, to be there during the Wounded Knee occupation in 1973. Embedded, and he's going to be joining us live here in just a minute. So we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to All Day Live. Your time is 1 o'clock on this Thursday, and we're really glad that you're here with us. The Trump administration recently announced that 19 U.S. soldiers who were at Wounded Knee in 1890 will keep their medals of honor. Those medals have been controversial because the soldiers killed at least 250 Native Americans, including women and children of the Lakota tribe on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. Historical records show that the U.S. Army was trying to disarm Native American fighters who had already surrendered at their camps. So in 1990 then, Congress apologized to the descendants of those who were killed at Wounded Knee, but didn't revoke their medals. Fast forward to 2024, then Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin ordered a review. That report was finished this past October, and it was about last week or so when the Trump administration said the panel determined that, quote, these brave soldiers should in fact rightfully keep their medals from action. So I've been doing a lot of research and just reading more and more about Wounded Knee and then the occupation, in 1973, and I came across an old NPR article, and it talked about this journalist, and I just had to have him on and talk with him. So joining us now is Kevin McKiernan, Pulitzer Prize nominated journalist, photographer, and filmmaker, and the only journalist embedded in the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in 1973 during that Wounded Knee occupation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So I don't even know how to distill this down into kind of a conversation that we can digest, because there are just countless layers to all of this. But I think if we start with, winter 1973, 71 days, there's this military standoff between the federal government and a couple of hundred activists with the American Indian movement who had occupied the town of Wounded Knee. You were a grad student at the University of St. Thomas and working for NPR, is that right?
Well, actually, I was a grad student at another university, and I came back to St. Thomas to teach English there. And I then started working for Minnesota Public Radio and National Public Radio. Each paid half my weekly salary.
I don't want to ask you what that is back then, because it probably wasn't a whole lot, right?
It was peanuts.
Yeah, right. So you were, and again, I'm skipping over so much just for the sake of time, and I just want to really get to kind of the heart of what we want to talk about today. But you ended up being the only journalist to get inside, for the duration. How did you get in, and then how did you gain their trust once you were there?
Well, first of all, there were reporters who were allowed to come in and out for the first half of the occupation, the 71-day occupation. But then the government decided that it would cut off the ability for any reportage to be done from the inside. So I went in the back way, walking over land and penetrating the FBI cordon. And I think that I got a couple of brownie points for that, and people started to trust me. And then when I stayed there under conditions where people were getting killed and badly wounded, and food was used then as a weapon, and no food was provided, so it was quite an experience. It opened my eyes to things that I didn't know. I mean, I was a college graduate. I had gone to graduate school. I had no idea even that there were reservations in my own state of Minnesota, much less next door in South Dakota. So it was an eye-opener for me to find out and to see things from the inside. And there was the American Indian movement element, but largely the traditional people who lived on the reservation were the ones who spurred what happened.
Yeah, and people should really go back and not only read about, Wounded Knee, but then the occupation. There's, again, so many layers to it. You were there documenting, which is incredible. So you're not just experiencing it, but you also have this responsibility to document. What was that like? I mean, supplies, were you writing, photography? What was that like?
Well, I was, shooting a wind-up movie camera, a 16mm movie camera, that just when it got to the end, it stopped, and you had to rewind it again to make it go. So it was fairly primitive by today's standards. And I also had a still camera. But I always wondered if there was a second Wounded Knee, if the government did come in again and how would I ever get out with this film? How would I get away with it? What was my purpose for being there? And so forth.
Yeah, and we're taking a look at some of the video here. I don't know if you can see that, but this is a video of you. Can you see that and let us know what we're seeing?
Yeah, this is the signing of an abortive treaty that finally was not honored. This is the head of the government saying that reporters will be arrested if they go to Wounded Knee and try to report from the government side. So
wow.
And these are people who are leaders. And this is there is my wind-up camera.
There it is, yeah.
And I was taking pictures at the treaty signing, which didn't work out.
And you're showing here the video that you shared with us that we're able to show is, you know, you're seeing civility there. You're not seeing much, you know, but there are things, and I've read enough articles about your time there that were so raw and just so things that nobody should have to kind of see. Can you tell us about just some of the things that maybe not so specifically, but tell us about just how difficult that was to see the things that you saw?
Well, it was difficult because we were hungry the whole time, and the fact that I was willing to endure that for the time I was there made it easier to be accepted by people. I saw people killed, many people wounded, and I saw these daily spiritual sweat lodges and other ceremonies. That was my big takeaway from the occupation. And in fact, the very first thing that members who were there, who were occupiers, did after Wounded Knee, when they went back to their own tribes, was to lobby successfully for a congressional act of Congress. And what was that? Well, it was the Freedom of Indian Religion Act. And you wouldn't think that that was necessary, but parts of Indian religion were still banned from the time of the hysteria in the 1880s, which led to the massacre. These were religious refugees running away from 5,000 combat troops that President Harrison had ordered because of the outlawed ghost dance, and they were to be captured and so forth. And then they came in that night when they settled at Wounded Knee and set up these terrible Hotchkiss guns, which were rapid firing 1-pound shells that exploded. And the casualties on the government side were mostly because of friendly fire. They were shooting themselves. But the people who were there, especially, you know, some of the bodies they found were 7 miles away. So women and kids and other innocents, elders, were hunted down like animals and killed. And I think that the decision that's been made by the government here to not to take back these medals, I think it dishonors every veteran who's rightly received the Medal of Honor. It really says, in effect, there's valor in genocide.
It's something that I came across that was really interesting to me, speaking of, you know, the government and present day, is, you know, Leonard Peltier, and many people from here will know his story and who he is. But, you know, one of the last things that President Biden did before he left office was commute Leonard Peltier's sentence. And then we know that he was freed in 2025. I'm curious, your connection there is so that the Leonard Peltier, that incident happened a couple of years later. You actually are, the nominations you've received for Pulitzer Prize in '76 for your 1975 photography work was during the firefight that claimed the life of a Native Register and 2 FBI agents that Peltier was involved in. So I had to ask what you think about, you know, him now being out, and you were there. I mean, it's incredible that you were also there.
Yes, and I was part of a team of people who made the film that's now in film festivals. It premiered at Sundance, called Free Leonard Peltier. And it really dealt with all the government misconduct in the case, the false affidavits that were presented to the court, the repression of ballistics that said that tests that said that Leonard Peltier's weapon was not the one that killed the agents, and so on and so on. And so that we're hoping that that gets distribution, streaming in the next month or so.
And what's incredible about your career is not only, have you had these amazing experiences that you've been able to document here in the U.S. Obviously, you've been also, foreign war correspondent overseas. You have done documentaries and worked on so much, firsthand accounts of things. And so it was in 2019 that you released the film From Wounded Knee to Standing Rock: A Reporter's Journey.
Yes, that's right.
Tell us a little bit about what we see in this film. I know you methodically really break down the American Indian movement, and I'm just doing this is a gross kind of simplification of what it is, but their motivation for the occupation, the Nixon administration's responses, but the stories that you tell, absolutely incredible and very raw.
Well, so to that question. I think that it was mostly a learning experience for me because I knew so little. I mean, I'd gone to graduate school, I had college education, I had gone to law school, all these kinds of things, but I was rather ignorant about what was taking place in my own area. So I think I took away from that, and after 50 years, made that film, and it was what came after Wounded Knee, between Wounded Knee and Standing Rock, and how Indian people, in my experience, got up off of one knee and stood up proudly. And I think pride is the thing that is carried on and means so much to Native Americans today. And this was a turning point in modern history, and a very important one.
Where can people see that documentary in particular? Where can we find it?
Well, Canopy is one place, and public libraries have that.
Okay.
And now and then it's played at about 20 colleges and about 10 reservations so far. And when it first came out, it played on PBS stations. So, and that's not available any longer. Yeah. But I think the easiest thing is to find a library that has Canopy, and you can take it out for nothing.
Yeah, again, it's From Wounded Knee to Standing Rock: A Reporter's Journey. I can't imagine, as you look back on your career, I mean, we're talking about just a tiny, tiny sliver of what you've been able to accomplish over these decades. How are you now? What are you up to now? Any new projects, or are you just kind of enjoying having nothing to do?
Well, one thing I'm enjoying, of course, is my wife and I have 2 new grandsons, and so forth. But I've been active in filmmaking this year as well because of the film Free Leonard Peltier. So. Yeah.
Now we watch Netflix and we watch all these documentaries, and the power of humanizing people, even people that we feel they may be villains to us in our mind, but then we get to know them. You were doing that before really anybody else was doing that, in the way that you were able to humanize even the folks with AIM, and it was an incredible tool to be able to use. So incredible work, and it's an honor to be able to talk to you about your firsthand experiences that you had and then shared with the world. Thank you for spending some time with us.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Again, that's Kevin McNiernan, and the documentary that you can see is called From Wounded Knee to Standing Rock: A Reporter's Journey. He has many, many other documentaries and work that he's done as well. They just, I'll say it, they just don't make journalists like that anymore. Just really incredible work. All right, let's take a break. Let's do it. Let's take a break. And do we have a Lutsen camp? Oh, yeah, we do. There it is, Lutsen camp. That is a great tease, because guess what, everybody? We're going north. Well, unless you're there already, then we're just going to be there. But from the cities, we're going to travel north to the North Shore, and we're going to take you live to this area. Chuck Olson with Wild North TV is going to join us. If you don't know what that is, stay tuned. It is worth learning about. It's just going to bring you some peace and maybe some happiness here this fall. Stay with us. All Day Live is right back after this. Welcome back to All Day Live. Oh, fall is here. Kind of doesn't feel like it, but it's going to soon. Hopefully you've had a chance to maybe make some plans to go see some of the leaves turning. We know that up north there are some pockets right now where it's just bam, it's right there. Of course, the North Shore, you know, that area of Minnesota, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one. I think it's one of the most beautiful places on planet Earth. Been a lot of places, and that is one of my favorites. And I think it's probably our next guest favorite too. This is Chuck Olson. If you could visit just a little piece of heaven anytime 24/7, you're living in the spot, my friend.
I am truly living the dream, and I'm coming to you right now live from Moose Mountain in Lutzen, which is still popping, although you can see we've had a lot of wind the last couple of days, so there are now bare spots, but there's still plenty of orange and red of those maples popping in Tofte and Lutzen area.
Okay, so again, yeah, tell us where you are exactly in case people are like, oh, that's where I want to go, because it looks like you have a beautiful vantage.
Yeah, so what I did today is I drove up Ski Hill Road in Lutzen, which takes you to the ski resort, which is called Lutzen Mountains. I took the gondola over the Poplar River Valley to this summit chalet and overlook. And that's probably one of the best things that you can do to see the fall colors up here. The gondola ride is $35, so it's not cheap, but it is absolutely spectacular. There's plenty of places to go for free as well. So what we're seeing behind me here is this maple ridge that runs from Tofte to Lutzen up here, and that's among the first places to change color in the state of Minnesota. So really, you can drive any of the back roads around Tofte and Lutsen, and you'll probably will run into this. Honeymoon Trail is another one, Caribou Trail, anything around the Tofte-Lutsen area that's inland a little ways, and you'll see some of this color.
Yeah, and Chuck, you're based in Tofte, but you're not just some guy that's up there that just likes going out and whatever. Like you've taken a dive into this deep. Tell us about the Wild North TV, right, and the work that you do.
Yeah, so I moved up here in 2020, during COVID, which when I tell folks up here, they say, oh, you're one of those. And it's honestly the best decision we've ever made. It's not easy to move up here. So I kind of, it's so beautiful that I kind of decided, if I was going to get to live here, I was going to try to share as much of the beauty of this place with people as possible. Increasingly as we live in stressful times, getting out and experiencing nature is important for a mental health reset. And so, so I'm kind of providing that virtually through my photography and videography.
And I want to get into some detail here because, yes, and I looked it up, there is research that shows if you can't be out in nature, enjoying it virtually still does really good things for your brain. But the Wild North TV, how do people find it? Do you have to subscribe? Does it cost anything? People are going to want to know where they can take in this content.
Yeah, well, kind of the best thing to do actually is just to follow me on social media channels. So I've got a Patreon. It's patreon.com/Chuckumentary. It's like documentary, but Chuckumentary. And that will take you to all of my social media channels. I think I know you mostly on Twitter or X, where my account is The Wild North TV. And I'm on, Threads and Facebook and YouTube and all of those places. But I'm basically always kind of like posting photos and videos of what's going on. Like there were some northern lights last night.
Did you see them?
I saw, they've been happening the last couple of nights, and I was up real late the previous time. So last night, I'm so blessed to be able to get it from my house. So I just went on my front deck and posted a photo of them. Wow. But yeah, so kind of like everything that's going on up here, I'm always posting about it.
Wow, and it's and also long segments too. I mean, we love to do like our kind of Zen peaceful moments here in between when we go to breaks and things like that. And we've been talking for almost a year now, and I've been saying, Chuck, we want to use your stuff for these moments too. So we're getting that going. But oh, we do have some going to break. Amber just told me, so we get to enjoy some of that. But it's not just a photo. I mean, you put so much time into, people maybe don't realize how much time goes into this, but the editing and then there's music, and it's just such an experience. I can't believe that you do this, Chuck. I really can't. It's so special.
Oh, thank you so much, Amy. Yeah, I'm excited to share some of that with your viewers as well. Yeah, we need those moments of Zen. Yeah.
So do you put like
it does take a lot of time, like you say.
Do you have another job, or is this what
I do? I work at the community radio station in Grand Marais, North Shore Community Radio. So I'm a producer there. I produce videos and photos and radio stories. Yeah, so I keep busy. It's also a lot of wear and tear on my vehicle. I spend a lot of times on gravel back roads, and yeah, I'm needing to replace some things on my Subaru. But I can't complain because it's the best thing in the world to be doing, and I loved it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so we've had a really foggy fall, so I was really kind of going after some moody shots. That's Carlton Peak there in the distance, and Lake Superior's to the left. You can see this is the Caribou Trail. Just so moody, and just
oh my goodness,
just makes you feel all the feels.
It does.
This is Oberg Lake, and that's Oberg Mountain there on the right.
Too bad we can't have popular music on our airways, because I'd be playing some like Taylor Swift folklore right now. Just kind of really getting into it, Chuck. I mean, this is phenomenal. What's the response been like? I mean, has it grown since? I mean, we started talking about a year ago. Has it grown, and what do people think?
Yeah. I mean, people, everyone loves it pretty much. I mean, and it's also, it's nice to take a break from politics, because nature is for everyone. I always say, like, when you run into somebody on the trail, you don't know who they voted for, and you don't care. It's like we're both here in nature enjoying this, and this is really what's important, you know?
I love it. Well, the live stream, you can check it out. Chuck Olson. I think we might have spelled your name wrong. Is it S-E-N? I'm sorry.
Oh, it is S-E-N. That's okay. I accept all Norwegian and Swedish variants.
Chuck Olson on all of your social media platforms. Check him out. And yeah, of course, the Wild North TV is where it's at. And you can just escape anytime you want to, again, what I think a lot of people would say, is the most beautiful place in Minnesota, if not the world.
I'm with you.
Okay. Chuck, thank you for taking the time to get out to Lucin for us today. We'll send you $10 for the wear and tear on the Subaru for that trip. And we appreciate you so much and the work that you're putting into giving us all just some, you know. Peace.
You too, Amy and Amber. Thank you for having me on.
Okay, take care. Oh, beautiful, right there, beautiful. Thanks, Chuck. Take care. All right. Well, do we get to go to break on some more Wild North? Okay, let's do it. Here's some more of Chuck Olson's beautiful work up north. Oh my goodness. I'll just stop talking. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. As work at the Capitol continues now on a special session to address gun violence and prevention, a group of healthcare leaders are going to be speaking out, and so we're waiting for a press conference to get going here any moment. I don't know if we can pop that up or if Amber, there we go. Looks like it's going to get started. So these are healthcare workers urging lawmakers to take action, specifically calling for a ban on assault-style weapons and high-capacity magazines. Again, leaders in healthcare giving their perspective on the impact gun violence is having in hospitals and specifically with children. Let's listen.
Is this working? I did order one for mine. I don't think this is working. Can you guys hear me? Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys all for coming. My name is Dr. Lisa Mattson, and I'm president of the Minnesota Medical Association. With more than 10,000 members, we are the largest professional association of physicians in the state. We represent doctors from every corner of Minnesota and every medical specialty. Our members have dedicated years of training, decades of medical practice, our entire lives to keeping Minnesotans safe and healthy. That's become harder and harder to do given the state of gun violence in this country. Do you know that the leading cause of death for children in the United States is not a biological disease? It's not cancer, not car crashes, not overdoses. It's guns. Gun violence is the leading cause of death for children in the United States. We all witnessed horrific violence over a month ago in Minneapolis. Following that event, physicians across the state, including our organization and several others, sent a letter to Governor Walz and legislative leaders urging them to gather in a special session to pass 4 evidence-based firearm safety policies. Collectively, these policies will lower the rate at which Minnesotans die and are injured by firearms. The policies include, number 1, a full statewide ban on assault weapons. 2, a statewide ban on high-capacity magazines. 3, a statewide requirement that firearms be locked, unloaded, and stored separate from ammunition. These are known as safe storage laws. And 4, the removal of current prohibition on local municipalities from enacting stricter firearm regulations than the state. It has been a month since we sent that letter, and lawmakers have yet to convene in a special session. This is no longer a friendly request from your local doctor. This is a demand from the tens of thousands of physicians across the state who know firearm violence for what it is, a public health crisis. The Minnesota Medical Association, along with a broad coalition of healthcare organizations, collectively demand that Governor Walz call a special session to pass these evidence-based bills. Thank you. I would now like to ask Dr. Tim Coomer to speak next.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Tim Coomer. I'm an emergency physician at Hennepin Healthcare and Assistant Medical Director of Hennepin EMS. On August 27th, I was the first physician on scene at the Annunciation school shooting. When I arrived, I joined our paramedics in assessing children who had been shot in the back, arms, and head. As we took in the immense pain and fear in the eyes of those children, we tried to comfort them as they were rushed to the hospital. Once the critically injured had been transported, our focus shifted to children who said they were uninjured, though their uniforms were soaked in blood. We had to confirm whether it was their own blood or the blood of their classmate that they had tried to shield. I have cared for many victims of gunshots and been on scene for many multiple mass shootings. But what was different that morning was that these were children. There were many children in church. At Annunciation, I saw the horror in the eyes of these children. I saw the fear of parents desperate to know if their child was alive. And I heard the screams of mothers and fathers when they were told their child had been murdered. Those memories do not fade. At Annunciation, an assault weapon multiplied the number of children shot, turned minor wounds into life-threatening ones, and amplified the trauma for families, first responders, and healthcare workers. Gun violence is nothing new to our society, certainly not to our Black and brown communities that we serve. They have lived with this painful reality for decades. For those who say gun violence is a complicated issue, it isn't. You can make it complicated by blaming mental illness, But the truth is, mass shooters are rarely suffering from mental illness in the way that we think of it. They are often lonely, angry, and isolated. Blaming mental illness only stigmatizes those already struggling. You can make it complicated by arguing that our schools need enhanced safety entrances. This lacks evidence and makes our schools feel like prisons rather than a welcoming learning environment. This is a public health issue, and we know how to address public health issues. We follow the evidence, and the evidence to this public health issue is clear. Limit access to certain weapons. Weapons that by design cause more victims, not less, with more severe injuries, not minor, creating more trauma for everyone who responds and cares for them. One of the patients I cared for at Annunciation was a 12-year-old girl with what looked like a simple grazed wound to her head. On the outside, it looked like a small abrasion, nothing else. But despite that bullet never entering her brain, the energy from that weapon was so powerful that it caused life-threatening bleeding, and surgeons had to remove part of her skull. From a handgun, that wound would likely have been just a graze. From a high-powered rifle, it became life-threatening. I am not a gun expert, but I am an expert in the aftermath, in the pain and suffering that goes beyond the patients and families who carry these scars. Every time there is a mass shooting, the trauma lands on the shoulders of first responders and healthcare workers. It erodes our ability to cope, our ability to sleep, to keep coming back to this work, and some of us never come back at all. These weapons turn survivable injuries into fatal ones. They turn small tragedies into mass tragedies. Inaction on this topic is not neutral, it is acceptance. I am asking my fellow Minnesotans and our elected officials to listen to us and to act. Limit access to these weapons in the name of health and safety for our children and teachers, for our first responders and healthcare workers, and for all in our communities. Thank you. I'd like to welcome Dr. Velisic of Minneapolis Children's.
Good afternoon. My name is Trish Velisic. I am a pediatric general, thoracic, and trauma surgeon in private practice working primarily at Children's Minnesota, and I'm now in my 16th year working there. As a level 1 trauma center, Children's Minnesota has a pediatric trauma surgeon physically in the hospital 24 hours per day. On the morning of August 27th, I was the trauma surgeon on duty. I was just finishing rounds with my team when I received a trauma alert stating we were receiving a 10-year-old with a gunshot wound to the head. I have unfortunately cared for many children with gunshot wounds. It is rare for school-aged children to be shot in the head at 8:30 in the morning on a school day. So I had a gut feeling we would be dealing with a multi-casualty event. Minutes later, I arrived in the emergency department and was told we would indeed be receiving multiple children from a shooting at a school church. I called the operating room and told them to not start any other surgeries, obviously finishing the ones that were ongoing, because I needed rooms available if we needed them. I notified my partners that I might need their assistance. Our first patient arrived and the next 4 were right behind. In fact, on our records, they all have the same arrival time. We went from quiet to controlled chaos in a matter of moments. When multiple children arrive at the same time, we use triage protocols to determine the order in which they are treated. The American College of Surgeons has triage guidelines for such events that we have learned over and over again. Depending on how many patients you receive, the protocols change a bit. For example, you might not put all of your resources into the most injured patient if it means other less injured patients might die. Can you imagine applying these protocols to someone's child? Fortunately, on August 27th, we did not find ourselves having to make that decision. We were able to get every child into a room with a team dedicated to them. My job in any level 1 trauma and during mass casualty events is to direct the care. On that morning, I was able to get quick assessments on each child and determine who needed further evaluation or management first. There is a saying in pediatrics that kids aren't just little adults. They have a different physiology, and you can't just treat them the same. The saying certainly holds true for gunshot wounds. It should be obvious, kids are small, and this can make the injury they incur more severe. In an adult, a bullet will cause injury along its path, but because they have more visceral or internal fat, it will be somewhat insulated by the surrounding tissues. This same bullet will do more damage to a child because they don't have that extra protection. Add in the factor of high velocity ammunition and the path of the damage widens further. I really hope I don't need to give a more graphic description of what a bullet does to a child's tiny body to get the point across that it is bad. There is another, I think, bigger difference between gunshot wounds in adults and those in children. In the whirlwind of August 27th, there are a few things that remain vibrant and crystal clear in my brain. They're what still wake me up at 3 a.m. The looks of absolute terror on the faces of the children we received in a wave, in shock and bleeding, without their parents to comfort them. And then the second wave of terrified, panicked parents not knowing if their child was even there or had survived. We are so fortunate that we had an incredible team of child life specialists to help calm the kids and social workers to help the parents. And I thank my lucky stars that this time I did not have to hear that anguished scream of a mother when I told her that I could not save her child. I have had to do that too many times. I've had some time to reflect on what happened to our community. I am angered that my initial thought upon hearing that we were receiving multiple children from a school shooting was, we knew this would happen to us someday. How do we live in a society that knows this will happen again and does nothing to prevent it? We cannot let this moment pass without making a change, without moving our feet, as the families from Annunciation have asked of us over and over again. Since 2020, gunshot wounds have been the leading cause of death among kids ages 1 to 17 in the United States. Not cancer, not car crashes, not peanut allergies, gunshot wounds. The rate of gun-related deaths in children has increased 106% since 2013. We now average 7 per day. And it is preventable. It is entirely preventable. We just need to care enough about our children to do it. Thank you. And now I'm going to introduce Dr. Gewurtz O'Brien.
Hello, my name is Dr. Jana Gewurtz O'Brien. I am a pediatrician. I am a mother of a beautiful 9-year-old, and I'm the president-elect of the Minnesota chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics. Our chapter is comprised of pediatricians across the state who care for kids day in and day out. We join in calling on our elected officials to come together in a special session because our members have treated too many kids with gunshot wounds, had too many devastating conversations with parents and family members, and watched too many children die. As a pediatrician with expertise in adolescent medicine, at a level 1 trauma center, I have been treating victims of gun violence long before August 27th. In my primary care practice, I care for multiple patients with spinal cord injuries, brain injuries, and long-standing disability as a result of gun violence. Then, 1 mile from my home, after dropping my 9-year-old off at school that morning, just a few miles away from this, on August 27th, the grave and preventable events that you've heard about today happened at Annunciation. And it shined a light on this epidemic for everyone to see. Maybe for the news cycle, this was a one-day thing. But for the children and families that were involved that day, and for the healthcare providers that cared for them, these will be wounds that may last a lifetime. I have treated victims of gun violence for years after they've healed from their bullet wounds. These wounds are deeper than flesh. They last, that psychological trauma that victims of gun violence experience lasts for years. They are wounds that last a lifetime. That trauma is not just limited to victims. It spreads like a virus across communities. So now, in addition to treating the victims of gun violence in our community, we also are treating countless children who should be focusing on their ABCs, or adolescents who should be thinking about what they're going to wear to homecoming, and instead they're afraid to step out of the door because they're worried they might be shot. And you may think that that's wild, but this is actually justified with where we're living currently. We've seen kids get shot at church and at school, and we've seen kids get shot when they went to the park to play. That should not be what we're living in, and we owe it to the children we are with, that we care for, and the children we're raising, to protect them. And we know what to do. We know how to protect victims of gun violence. Unlike other medical conditions that we all treat here, this is not that complicated. We must write this prescription today, and this is a prescription for Minnesota lawmakers. Come together in a special session and pass these laws now. If not, our kids, my kids, your kids, will continue to die due to firearms at alarmingly high rates. As we've heard earlier, it's the #1 cause of death among U.S. children. That is unacceptable. I'm going to close on a personal note. Some of you may not know, but this is the holiest day of the Jewish year. It's Yom Kippur. It's a day where we mourn the dead, and we reflect on the year that's passed, and we think about what we can do better and what could come in the year to come. And when we look back, we think about unimaginable atrocities. But when I look forward, I think, and I hope, that a year from now, we can celebrate the action we took today and the action we take over the next several months to make an actual difference on this issue. I hope that when we look back, we won't be mourning the children that died of gun violence in the year past. We failed to protect them that day, but we won't fail anymore. Thank you all for being here, and we'll take questions from here.
I'm just curious to know from what you guys have seen from news and have heard from lawmakers if you are in conversation with them, what your understanding is of why the special session hasn't happened yet. Do you have any understanding of why it hasn't?
I think sometimes politics gets in the way of good sense. We are not, as doctors standing here, we are neither red nor blue. We're not coming at this as Democrats or Republicans. We're coming at this as unabashedly pro-child. And I think if we all put our politics aside and think about what makes common sense here, that we all know what to do.
AMA has been asking for this type of gun reform since at least 2012. We talk about a 106% increase since 2013 in this gun violence for children. That's, what, 13, 14 years now of asking for this same type of change, and it's not happening. Is that, I mean, what do you attribute that to?
Again, I attribute it to people's politics getting in the way of good sense policy, and I had never hoped that we would, and I never hoped or wished that we would ever have a mass casualty event, but I would hope that now that we've had multiple children gunned down in schools and in church, that people will finally put those things aside and take action.
Have you all had any meetings with the governor or lawmakers, or?
We've been meeting and in communication with governors and lawmakers for a long, long time, over a decade, but especially since August 27th, and we are calling for this, and actually all of our medical organizations are on board with this because we recognize it for what it is, a public health crisis.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, what are they telling you as politics seems to be clearly getting in the way again?
Others? I'm happy to answer this one too. I hear a lot of empathy and then not a lot of action.
Have you spoken with any Republicans?
We have been speaking with everyone across the aisle. This is not a political issue in our eyes. This is a public health crisis.
Can you guys talk, two of you at least, were treating patients from Annunciation. You talked a little bit about how traumatic that may be, but can you kind of, just give us a little more insight into where your headspace is now?
Okay. What do you mean?
I mean, like, you saw these people. I mean, I know you've seen it before. It's part of your job. What does that do to you on a daily basis? It's more than a month out now.
Right.
Are you still seeing this?
No, I appreciate the attention on that. It's not part of our job. Responding to a church full of shot kids is not part of anyone's job. I've struggled with that. I signed up for this job. I love this job. I'm so grateful for this job. I'm grateful for where I work. So why would I do something that makes me not sleep at night, that makes me have a hard time talking to neighbors? I live right by the school. Nobody signs up to go to a church full of shot kids, right? We have police officers, we have firefighters, we have paramedics, we have nurses, we have healthcare assistants, we have physicians, we have across the board who can't do their jobs because of what happened that day. It's terrible, to be honest. I'm very grateful that I think healthcare has evolved to understand the impact this has on us, and they're doing what they can. But that's really far downriver, right? The way to make us not need trauma therapy on a regular basis is to ban weapons that let them shoot 160 bullets in 2 minutes. It's hard.
as was just said, this is not what we train for mass casualty incidents. Obviously, that's part of our job. But again, having 5 bloody, shot children arrive at Children's all at once, all of whom were the same age as my children, one of whom had the same name as one of my children, is very difficult. And pulling yourself away from that in the moment is part of our training. We also have lots of resources for ourselves afterwards, but it doesn't go away because this should not be our normal. It isn't our normal, and so it does continue to wake us up. And I know from at least enough of my training regarding what's going to happen to me that I may feel better for a while, and it's going to come back at some random time, months or years from now. And that is true for every single person who was involved in this. So when we talk about the children, clearly the children are the most important ones here, but the effects that this has on the community and those who take care of these children goes on for a long time.
You guys have hope here? I mean, it's, like I said, Sandy Hook was 2012. You guys, AMA's been asking for this kind of change for all that time. You guys have been asking for this since this Annunciation incident happened, at the very least, with the most vocal asking, and nothing seems ready to happen. Is there hope?
I wouldn't be able to come back to work if I didn't think there was hope. And I honestly, in my head and in my heart, think Minnesota could finally be the place that does it. That's what I'm holding on to.
This is the land of Minnesota nice. You know, let's hope that with something bad finally happening in Minnesota, which we never wanted to happen, that we're going to pull together and make something bad something good and finally get something done here. We've got evidence-based common sense policies that we've asked for, and let's hope that finally something's going to happen. And we're hoping that after today we're going to get our message across and we're going to get this special session and make something good happen, so we don't have anything like Annunciation ever happen again in this state.
Can I add to that? I just think it's really important that we acknowledge that the frustration that I think we all feel that it took a school of kids being shot for us to be here, right? Our community that Hennepin serves, this is day in, day out. We had a mass casualty of shooting the day before Annunciation that was a small blurb in the news. And we have communities that live in this every day. And it would be a tremendous waste of our agency to not have hope. We have to have hope, because what else are we doing? We owe it to our communities. I owe it to my 5 kids. I owe it to the kids of Annunciation, the families of Annunciation, to have hope, because that's what brings us here day after day.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, this is a live look at a press conference that, as you see, was scheduled by healthcare workers, local healthcare workers, many of them who responded to the victims who were brought in after the shooting at Annunciation, and they are urging lawmakers to take action, specifically calling for this special session to what they would like to see is a ban on assault-style weapons and high-capacity magazines, and sharing some of their experiences here, about three or 4 weeks ago now at Annunciation at the church and school. Amber, what do you want to do? Take a break and come back? You just told me, and it kind of went in one ear and out the other. So would you like to take a break?
Do you want a quick read through regional? I can kind of go through these really quickly.
I can, or should I try to touch on some of the Medicare stuff?
Actually, yes. Let's talk about Medicare for just a quick second. We've only got like 2 minutes here.
Yeah, and we'll do a little bit here, and then we're going to do much more. But if we can, one of the things that came up yesterday, we're going to continue to do these segments on the Medicare Advantage changes that are coming that everybody needs to know about. But the phone number, we wanted to make sure that people understood that this hotline has been called the Senior Linkage Line or Hotline.
Correct.
That has Senior Linkage Line. The name changed like 2 weeks ago. It is now Minnesota Aging Pathways Thank you.
Same number though, as far as I'm aware.
Same number, but just don't get confused. So these aren't brokers. This is a number that you can call, and that they can help you figure out what you need to do with your plan, and that way, you know, there's no commission involved, anything like that. Not, you know, we're not dissing the brokers, but just if it's another option for you. But clarification on what this is. There it is. That's the number. And if you have UCare and Medicare Advantage, you don't need to worry about that. You're losing your Medicare Advantage when the new year starts. Just about everybody else, though, should probably call that number and call your provider and make sure that you still have what you need going into the new year. So.
And if people have questions about all of this, email us. We are going to do a segment in the future. We had Tim Jopp on from Legacy Insurance yesterday. We've got a great segment on foxline.com. That whole 20 minutes, Amy, I just looked a little bit ago. We had him on for 20 minutes.
I'm going to get the whiteboard next time. I'm not kidding you. I'm going to get the whiteboard out because
it's a complicated issue. It's so complicated.
It's so important.
If you've got questions, email them to us all day at fox.com. We're going to get you answers. We're going to do more segments on this. Change is coming soon, but you've got a little bit of time.
Yep, research phase right now. You can't make any changes until the 15th of October. Research now. That's why we're going to talk about it pretty much every day. We're going to just talk about it so people have what they need to move on to the next phase if they need to make changes. So.
All right. You want to head north, a little bit of Zen?
Let's do it.
Iona Beach? Is that how I say this?
Yeah, Iona Beach is a beautiful, beautiful beach.
And thank you to our digital manager, Melissa Turtinen, who's up there on vacay and still taking the time to send us these Zen videos.
All right. See you guys tomorrow.